Hi gang, welcome. Hopefully you all can hear me and everybody's having a great day. Welcome to Sketchin with Izzy, Rando edition. I'm just doing a random. I just wanted to finish up this painting and figured might as well do it online with all y'all. So hopefully you can sit back and enjoy. Where I left this off, I just needed to finish up these flowers. So just now I'm almost done, which is great. It's nice to be on top of something. This painting took a few days, so I have not many complaints on that. Oh no, I've done the thing. If I can keep up this rate, this will be great because it'll be a proper, 3 or 4 days per painting to get it done for the book. So that's exciting. I figured since it would only take me like 15 or 20 minutes to finish this painting out, I'll just do something random. So I've already prepped a canvas. And I have no idea what I'll paint. I haven't even thought about it yet. But it'll be fun to figure that out together. We'll see. I welcome ideas if you want to lean in. These are the flowers I chose. They're a newly discovered species of dahlia found in Mexico, which I thought was fitting. I'm not going as white. I'm not sure if that's the way to go with this yet. We'll see. Let's do a new layer. Set it to color. Let's just kill some of the pinkiness in here. Or at least warm it up in a different way. Yeah. That works for me. Let's do, since we're pretty much done with that, we're gonna do what I call sort of like the last effects layer. Since I have all my lighting figured out already, everything's basically done with this painting. These last layer effects are the ones that just kind of tie it all together. I've done all the hard work, so I can play with just messing with the lighting a little bit. You can tweak it, make darker darks in the shadows, lighter lights in the lights. A little bit of back and forth. Shouldn't be too troublesome. I just want to make my fill light just a tad more intense. Turn off our color, take a look at our values. I think we're good. I think we're done with this one. All right, let's do a quick save. And then close it. Hey. Fresh canvas, my favorite. Oops. Let's do a quick fill. I'm gonna do a quick scroll through Twitter or something like that. See if anything jumps out at me. Give me a quick idea. Okay. Got some visuals. When I do that sort of thing, all I'm looking for is like shapes or colors. I'm not even looking for specific things. You know, just want to kind of generate some kind of idea. The thing that I saw was a sort of squat. Hi, Chris. Good to see you. Welcome back. Yeah, I was just looking at a political cartoon. So this was inspired by the shape that they had done for Donald Trump's hair. That's all it takes. Just do a quick idea. We're just doing some fun, sketchy times. We spent earlier this week doing this illustration that I just finished. So something that's a little more, you know, loose and relaxed. Seems like a fun thing to do. New layer. Set this one to multiply. Every artist, no matter how good, totally has a phase where since you don't know what they're seeing in their head, it just looks like shite. And that's usually like the first 10-15% of the painting. It's just random stuff. It's just filling the canvas and getting it primed for whatever idea is going to start popping out. And then what will usually happen for me is I'll get kind of I'll get some glimmer of something, and then I'll start experimenting. And if I find shapes or an idea that seem fresh or interesting, then I'll expand on it, do a little bit of exploration. And if something sticks after that, then what I'll usually do is actually start over. Are we not dark enough? One of my favorite things to do is as a go-to is just like make weird creatures. So I'll start with maybe a couple of shapes or a couple of concepts that are recognizable, and then I'll start interjecting other things on top until I end up with something that's totally different. 100%, Chris. 100%. Yeah. You know, I know that one of the great curses is, you know, when you have a file corrupt or if your computer crashes while you're working and shit like that, where you just lost hours and hours of work. But weirdly, I've found for myself that once you've painted the thing or you've done the artwork on it, spending that time again to catch back up to where you were is a fraction of the time, and it'll almost always be better than it was. If you can remember that that's the case, or that it will likely be the case, it makes the frustration and rage a little bit easier to deal with. Just start carving out some lights, because why not? Let's see what comes out of here. I don't know. I'm excited. It's been a while since I've done one of these kind of silly creature things. Let's do a color. Cool thing about big random lights like this is that if it's on a separate layer, you can erase out of it, and then you can get, you know, implied shadows and details for no effort. It's pretty awesome. What I like about doing creatures in this way is if you have a pretty good visual vocabulary and sort of lexicon of different animals and species and anatomies, you can find and start to just plug and play elements. It's pretty fun. I recommend it for all. If you've followed my work at all, you know that one of my favorite adjectives or genres, I guess, is what I call creepy cute. So let's see what we can do that's creepy cute. There's a quick couple of hours sketch today during Rando edition. Just merge all this down. Shit, why not? Oop. Is one of those a multiply? Merge all the way. Turn off the background layer. Once you have a little bit of lighting information and a little bit of texture, you can really just start to mush stuff around. Which is a great way to... I love the warp tool for warp transform. It's so awesome. It really allows you the freedom to just totally mush pixels around. Yeah, I guess Bobby Chew kind of has that route too. He's got some that are pretty damn creepy, but I'd say he leans way more towards cute. There's a lot less tentacles and blood in his paintings. He's a great guy. Should all definitely be checking out Bobby Chew. His work's great. His school is awesome. Very nice guy. Oops. Just a copy all. And I'm changing the composition because it's feeling a little bit cramped. So my weird critter, whatever it's going to be, has a little breathing room. I find also figuring out kind of, you know, it's a little bit centered, but I guess this is sort of like a design sketch rather than an illustration, so we're not super worried about composition just yet. But scale can, rather, the crampedness of the creature in the environment can tell you a little bit about the scale too. So see what kind of information this delivers to us. We're looking for fun surprises and happy accidents. And then just trust them. When you see them or when they happen, you just lean into it, let it go. Okay. So once you've got something kind of, well, let's look at it from different angles. Like, you never know what you might find. Oh, that's kind of interesting. I rather like that. We'll do a drawing on top of this and see what comes out of it. But, yeah, I might flip it around and see what comes out of that one, too. You just follow where the muse leads you. Just have a good time. This is something fun I like to do. Set it to multiply. I like rich lines. So kind of where I was leaning with this initially. Let's see, we could do kind of a... think I was kind of thinking sort of a whale, shrimp, frog thing. You saw I use the warp tool to create a much different silhouette. I go super abstract, but I usually do it really rhythmic and sort of trusting in the happy accidents like I just did, like you just saw. I don't very often go straight to silhouettes and do design from silhouette to start, because usually the idea of working in silhouettes is to do what I just did, except doing it, you know, piecemeal and focusing only on design of the shape, which is fine, and it works for a lot of artists. It's just not the way I generally do it. Also, usually when you're doing that kind of design, you're doing it because you have a specific problem or challenge you're trying to solve. And I didn't have anything to solve. I just wanted to make something interesting. So, you know, it's just design masturbation at this point. I'm getting monitor flicker. It's not good. As per usual, if my computer does crash on me, I will be right back on. So if you feel like continuing to watch, stick around should there be a crash. I use a big ugly brush for these kinds of drawings because I don't want to get too caught up in the line work itself, which can be another sort of crutch. Yeah, there's way more flicker this time. Turn it off, try a new one. Hey, Gray Voices, yep. Just a rando edition stream. I wanted to finish up Blood Flower, which I just did. Just did a little bit of flower painting. I'll be posting that on my Instagram later if y'all want to see it. That's at the Izzy Medrano. And then I wanted to just kind of fool around a little bit and do something light. Okay. Dealer's choice, gang. Let's get some votes in. You want me to finish up A or B? I give you 30 seconds. Get your votes in now. This weird hippo hat head thing, or the whale shrimp thing. We got 2 for A. Nobody's loving on tiny baby hippo with little baby hippo feet. Come on, no takers for B. Nope. You can change your vote. Zero pressure. 2 votes does count. And both of them are for A. So it looks like we're leaning towards A, ladies and gentlemen. We will turn this one off. We're going to delete that layer. Deleted. Let's paint up our whale mushroom shrimp guy. It's too late. It was deleted. I could do maybe tiny little shrimp feet. We'll meet you in the middle. All right, let's grab this. It's its own layer, right? Yeah, okay. I'm gonna grab both of these, shrink them down. You cannot warp 2 layers, unfortunately. You can in Procreate, but not in Photoshop. I will meet you in the middle, yes, with tiny shrimpy feet. Little shrimp hooves. I heard everybody in the Shrimp Hooves band went down in a plane. So it can't have been you. Got kind of like a little bit of a bugbear quality too. I give him a little tiny tail because that's funny. I'll leave the cilia for now. Love how loose and clean the sketches are. Oh, thanks. That's how I do. That's how Izzy do. Ooh, can do kind of a mahi-mahi color scheme. Is this Bloodflower related? No, I'm just doing a stupid sketch today. Just gonna be a rando session. I felt like taking a break. I spent the last few days working hard on Bloodflower. I wanted to get everybody on, and then we could do a poll for what illustration to do next, which I thought would be fun. Yeah, the Abbess is going to be really fun to design. I can't wait to get to her and her final form. That's going to be quite entertaining. All right, we've got, let's see. I like the orangies. So I'm baking in scale from the very beginning, trying to get atmosphere and atmospheric perspective working in my favor. And the more that you do in the early parts of the process, the less you have to do later in describing things. It's just a hedging your bets game. Even things like having detail through the line work like this, I'll keep as much as I can without having to redo the line work. Because it's free information that I've already done. I don't want to waste the energy and the effort that I already put in. But I don't want it to be a line drawing either, so a little bit of back and forth. Let's go ahead and go back to this layer real quick. New layer. Let's do this one on top of our line. How big is this guy? I don't know yet. We're gonna figure that out as we go. Right now, I can go either way. He could be a whale or a shrimp whale. In terms of scale. It's not often I get to do characters and creatures like these anymore. I get tapped much more these days to do concept art. Sorry, not concept art, illustration. I don't get tapped as often to do concept art, even though I love doing it. Don't know why. Just following the needs of the market for now. Regardless of size, we can all agree that with a little bit of garlic and butter, he'll be delicious. Yeah, I'm definitely leaning towards a giant shrimp. Some kind of behemoth shrimp. Also, we're using the eye perspective trick, which is a classic creature design trick I like to teach my students, which is essentially eye to body ratio will describe the size of something almost universally. There's always times where this rule is broken, but for the most part. Thanks, fighter. Let's get up one of my color variation brushes. I always enjoy working with these. Get a little more. Yeah. For a brief time, on occasion, when I was living in Mazatlan, living on my boat, I had these friends that did fishing derbies, and so they saw me out on the docks. They're buddies of mine. We'll grab a beer now and then, and they asked me to join them on a derby as the real man. So I got on a sport fishing boat, and I actually did the fighting the fish. Incredible. Talk about a fight. Holy crap. Big marlin on the line. Way out there, 300 meters or whatever. Maybe not that far, but damn far. You see him jump out, this silver flash in the light, and the water goes, poof, it's like cannon fire. And then you work with the captain who's driving the boat, and the idea is to keep the line tight, but never so tight that the line breaks, right? And you want to tire the fish out. And these things are like apex predators, so they have tons of energy. And it can it can be a 15-minute fight or a couple of hours of just going back and forth with the line, letting them run out the line, and then slowly reeling them back, and then run out. And when you're done, you feel beat up. But one of these derbies that I did, we caught a mahi-mahi, which has kind of a similar shape to this. This is why I'm telling this story. And as we got it closer to the boat, it was interesting to see it because it would swim back and forth like a crazy slippery chunk of soap. And this thing would flash the most brilliant colors, like neon green and blue, incredible chartreuse colors, like really, really amazing. And it was just so incredible to see. What a beautiful fish. And I really liked their head, that big knobby pilot style forehead. Pretty interesting. Couldn't keep it up though. I felt so bad. You're not supposed to kill them, but it would accidentally happen now and again. And just, I felt so bad killing the fish. So I stopped actively fishing. Fishing to survive is one thing. Sport fishing and then accidentally killing it because you've stressed it out so much, it's a little different, in my opinion. Yeah. Yes, very much a test of endurance. No joke. Like, there were a couple where after the fight, I just sat there. If you've ever seen, like, after a boxing match or something like that, the boxers just sitting there with, like, their heads between their legs and just gasping. It feels like that. It's insane. It is definitely an endurance test. And what's crazy is a lot of the fish that you can catch now, thanks to overfishing and everything else that's going on, are way smaller than they used to be. I read a Hemingway book where he talked about fish, where one of his characters was fishing for hours with a marlin, and that thing was like 5 times the size. Of course, it's a book, but absolutely there's been a change in the size of the pelagic predators out there. All right, since we are now kind of, we've got a direction, I can kind of just play with outside of the contours that I've already described. How long did I live in the boat in total? That was about 5 years. Nope, I don't like those tails I added. Maybe we go the other direction and carve out. Any thoughts of returning or going hot air ballooning? Well, actually, I still have the boat. It's in Mexico. I'm just not in Mexico right now. COVID and everything else that's going on in the world kind of had other plans for me. So it is what it is for now. I might go back. I might just keep the boat and just be a snowbird and go down in the winter when it's cold here. See all my old friends. Have some adventures. Just not doing it full time anymore. The problem with that is the internet in Mexico is shaky sometimes, and yeah, the Twitch would definitely be affected. I can promise you that. What can I do with this mouth? I'm gonna do something with it that's not so obvious. Hey, thanks for the follow, Kid Dread. Welcome to the gang. I kind of like those goldfish. That's what I'm thinking of right now. Is this goldfish with those big puffy face and their eyes are all sad and hanging off the side of their head like a saggy muffin. Nature is cruel sometimes. You can think of way more animals that look naturally sad than naturally... That is kind of sad but true. Yeah, blobfish are really weird looking. I love ocean creatures, man. There's so many crazy things out there. What if it's a beak, huh? A couple of times I went diving and I found really beautiful schools of parrotfish. Parrotfish can come in so many crazy colors too. I don't think they change their colors actively like the mahi-mahi did, but they're really beautiful. The Sea of Cortez was once a Garden of Eden, as Jacques Cousteau described it, and that's part of why I wanted to go there and check it out. I was really excited to go diving in the Sea of Cortez, especially up near the islands, and man, when I went, it was like a desert. You heard blobfish look the way you see them because they're basically broken down by decompression. As they're used to very deep waters, they're really not so ugly. Oh yeah, no, it's true. There are a lot of fish that when you pull them up from the very deep, the benthic fish, which are floor dwellers, when you pull them up, like their eyes will pop out and shit like that. It must be a horrible way to die. Kind of made him a little chicken character with some chicken bits. It's like a buffalo wing squid. Horrifying. This is the content you come for? Squiddy, shrimpy whales made out of chicken wings and mutated beyond all recognition. Alright, let's merge all these together. Make a new layer. I'm gonna have to change the timing on that follow and subscribe button. That's popping up way too much. Or at least I'm noticing it too much. Maybe it's too big. That might be the problem. I added that element last night. Let's see. New song. Yeah, I spent some time last night working on trying to come up with some interesting and fun rewards that might be enjoyable to play around with together. What do y'all think of those? You like them? Good. Yeah, we can start playing with those anytime you guys want. I'm sure some of you have quite a collection already of Z points. My Z bolts. The pro walkthrough is you can pick any illustration I've done, and I can walk you through the process and my decisions and things like that. Basically, like I'm doing live, except for illustrations that are already out there. I can tell you about what it was like, if there were pitfalls. All sorts of weird things happen. For example, I just got an assignment where I got the assignment a month ago. I did a sketch for it, turned in the sketch on the due date, maybe a little bit late. It was a little bit late. But then 3 days after I turned in the sketch, I got a total change for that assignment where they said, hey, hopefully you're not too far on this thing. We're completely revamping it and we want you to start from scratch. Like that sort of shit happens all the time, just random stuff. So I thought it would be interesting to offer that as a, like some of the backstory and how the process went, my thinking, just bring you in. It's sort of like a behind the scenes type thing, if you're interested in it. Is that something I budget for, or do I charge extra? I absolutely said, hey, look, you guys are giving me these notes to start over 3 days after I turned in the initial sketch for the original assignment. So I'm gonna need pay to cover the work that I've already done on that, and I'm gonna need pay because they kept the schedule of the previous assignment. So I need to do this new illustration in a quarter of the time because it's a completely new one and I get none of the prep time that I did for the original version of it. So I said, you guys are going to have to cover this. And the AD was like, absolutely no problem. We totally understand. You have to be your own advocate. When you're encountering something that kind of strikes you as a little bit unfair, always be reasonable, be business-like. It's like talking with your mother or your grandmother, and you need to raise a grievance with them. You have to handle it that gently. But if you're careful and pleasant and clear with your boundaries, most clients are very understanding. They're people too. You always got to remember that there is another person on the line, on the other side of the line. You cannot be a dick. Honest mistakes happen. Usually what happens is just shit falls through the cracks and nothing is really on purpose. This is a fact that you're going to have to learn if you haven't learned it already. 99.99999% of the time, everybody else in the world isn't even thinking about you. So if you've got a client, they're almost always, anything that's happening has nothing to do with you. It's kind of haunting, but also kind of freeing at the same time, in my opinion, to be able to say like, okay, well, I get, I'm not even a mote in this person's world. So really anything I do doesn't necessarily affect them. They're not out trying to actually hurt me because they don't even give a shit about how you can only hurt something you care about, right? You can only obsess about something you care about. So exactly. It's just business. But yeah, as I was saying, you must be careful and be your own advocate and ensure that your interests are protected because no one else is going to do that for you, especially as a freelancer. Kind of doing like an inverse chameleon eye. What about the poem? We'll figure it out when we get there. I make no promises as to tempo or patterning. I am not a poet. That's kind of the point. I think that's what would make it so funny, is that it's not something that I really do. Oh no, there'll definitely be some rhymes. Rhyming will happen, but I can't promise you that I'll actually be able to structure it accurately. I mean, that's not something I ever really even studied. I can match like beats and things like that, but actually planning out like syllable to syllable and that sort of things. Like let's just say I can do like base level limericks. How about that? Maybe they're Insta poems because they're inspired by the particular customer's Instagram feed. Possible. I want to avoid opening windows. That's one of the things I'm trying to avoid. But that's a possibility. I've decided I need to broaden this back a little bit because I'm going to paint some caustics on. And the caustics will really help us with scale too, because it'll tell us how big this creature is compared to the waves above it. One of the things I like about painting critters and creatures in the ocean is because they so much scale, because they're out in the open, so much scale has to be derived from all these other indicators, and it's a very challenging thing. think I want to grab this patterning here and just keep scaling it down. Copy, paste. Clearly this big ball structure in the skull of this thing must be some kind of sensory organ. What do you think? Maybe like a, could be a sonar, or maybe it uses it to stun its prey. Or maybe it's just meant to siphon the water, you know, into its gills. Maybe it operates like a jet, you know, like squid. Maybe the water goes in there and it gets pumped through the back. Could be fun. Jet whale, precisely. I can write poems about feet and horses, I suppose. Then this becomes a whole different channel. Jet whale. Na na na. Na na. And he makes that noise. You're welcome for that. The things I do have haunted many people's dreams. It's a pride of mine. You would not be shocked. I am the breaker of minds, the freer of chains. I've got all my big masses, so I can really just start to divide things up and subdivide. Anytime I see the Screens start to flicker, I save. Catastrophe is at my doorstep, I can just tell. On my first live crash. Yep. Gotta paint up these chicken wangs. I see you trying to curse me with the ancient digital curse. It's alright. Remember what I opened with. It's all learning stuff, so nothing's really lost. You guys meet Z-Bot. Don't trust him, he's a liar. Oop, 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 Absolutely not. He's dangerous. Kind of banding some keratin growth in. Ugh. Don't eat cuttlefish. They're so cute and cuddly. I don't mess with tentacles, man. I don't eat squid or octopus. I made an agreement out there on the sea. I told them, I won't eat you. Don't eat me. And so far, they have honored our agreement. You gain the powers of Mouse Ball? I don't know. I'm not sure who's the real loser in this situation, my friend. Enjoy your mighty Wolverine Mouse Ball fists. Did you learn your tattletale skills from the cuttlefish? The cuddle freak. All right, that's my last one. The most powerful D-lister. Have you all been watching The Boys? The TV show on Amazon? It's awesome. I don't think the second one's out just yet, but I just recently rewatched the first season, and it's a treasure. It's so good. That's a Warren Ellis, I think, right? The guy's a machine. Excuse, please. We'll do like an egg pod or claspers back here, something like that. Oh, it's Garth Ennis? Okay. Whoops. These things happen. Speaking of Carl Urban, every day you pray for dread. Me too, brother. That shit was brilliant. Although, it would be interesting in the context of how things are going these days with police and shit. It is, yeah. Do I do much figure drawing weekly or monthly nowadays? No, I really should be doing more. I've really neglected a lot of that stuff as of late. What I do is I try to lump, I try to put study in with work so that I'm basically being paid to study. So I try to find creative ways to pick something that I want to be working on or that I want to be studying and then somehow mush it into my assignment. You know, like if I have let's say I've got an assignment where I need to draw sort of like I don't know, like let's say a couple of elves fighting with sticks or something like that, and I want to be working on hands. I'll try and find a way to focus on the hands in the shot instead. So I find ways to kind of do my studies, under the wire kind of deal. But no, when it comes to just straight up time for just sitting and studying, no, I don't really have that much time for that. The last time I did it was maybe a month ago, and I did. They have those sites that are like, you set it up. Like I want 5 minute sessions, 5 minute freeze. So they find all these stock photos of figures on Google or something like that, and then they'll cycle through them. So every 5 minutes it'll change to another one. I don't remember the name of the websites, but there's a couple of really regularly used ones, and those are fun. But usually what happens is I just get fixated on something and then I want to paint. So figure drawing, I do it, but it's pretty rare. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm always drinking coffee and fizzy water on the stream. It makes me so burpy. Indeed. I love working on creatures because they're so forgiving in terms of anatomy and all the silliness. When you're doing characters, you're really beholden to accuracy. People can tell when you've done something wrong so easily. And then animals, it's like, eh. I knew it. So I was talking about how the scale of the caustics can give you a scale of the creature. The only surfaces on an object that's underneath the water that can pick up the caustics are surfaces that are perpendicular to the light source. You can't have caustics that kind of travel around the shadow side of the thing. They can only exist in the light side. So some of these are going to have to go. Caustics can bend because caustics are a it's what's happening is there's a lens being created by the shape of the wave on the surface, and because it undulates and changes, it refracts that light into different directions, so you can get some bleed into the shadow side. You can get some interesting bounces, but still there's an overall behavior that you have to follow, and you can't really break it too much. So I have two things working for me here. It's this caustics brush, but if you'll remember, I did that big airbrush where I went back and I did atmosphere on top of everything. That airbrush has a very, very slight grain to it, and that slight grain makes it feel like a thicker atmosphere where the particulates are a little bit more visible and they're picking up that light. Because caustics are a lens, you're going to get really sharp points in that light. How does being underwater affect ambient light, if at all? It totally affects ambient light by virtue of the fact that all those particulates are bouncing light. So all the particulates in the water are bouncing light around. You don't even realize it. It's one of those things. It's like the older fish asking the younger fish, "How's the water?" And the fish look at each other and go, "What the hell is water?" It's like that. There is so much light being bounced around and creating ambient light sources in water that you don't even think about it. But when you're looking at a creature or any object being lit underwater, all of the colors are that bluish color, which is a result of the water filtering out the higher frequencies, and the deeper you go, the less higher frequency colors you have available to you. And that's why this thing can't be, if this thing's meant to be deep, it can't have a bunch of vivid reds. Even though creatures down in the deep can be pigmented vivid red, with the light that's available there, you can't see it. Everything becomes greenish blue. But that's all of that kind of what appears to be fog is the result of atmospheric perspective, where light is catching on particulates and bouncing ambient light everywhere. Now, if you're asking about reflected light off the floor, the ocean floor, you can totally have that, and you can even have caustics bounce up, but that has to be in really shallow water, obviously. That's the only way that it'll work, because you're bouncing light from the floor. So it goes from the sun or whatever the light source, through the waves, it gets refracted and bounces around all crazy. Then it'll go down, 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 and then it bounces off of the floor and comes back up. But the deeper it goes, the more of that light is lost and scattered in the particulates, which is creating your underwater ambient light. Cast shadows are incredibly diminished, but you can see them, and you can even see, like, if the water is heavy with particulates, like we have here, we can even imply. Let's do a quick layer right here. Set it to multiply. Come on now. Understanding the logic of light is going to allow you to cut a lot of corners like I just did. So let's do it from here. Inverse, hide the selection, because I want to keep the new shadow value that I've installed. And I want to imply that, because remember, as I said, with the light being caught in all of these waves, and the waves changing the shape and creating lenses, they're refracting the light and they're creating all of these sharp caustics down below. Well, in that same way, the light's being refracted in different directions, so you can have things like God rays come through the side of a shadow because the light is being bent ever so slightly in different directions. They're all going roughly in the same direction, but there's still enough variation that you can get some pretty interesting effects out of them. God rays, you have to remember, are just the light itself coming through the shadows blocking light. So it's not really reverse God rays, it's still just God rays. It's the same thing. Now here's a fun thing. By changing some of the lighting, we can imply that there's more than one. Now, of course, I would prefer to go in and imply other ones in the distance. So how are we going to do that? Let's grab that layer, duplicate it, make sure that they're connected. Let's duplicate the bottom layer too. This might not work taking it underneath because I did so much. Oh no, it does. That's pretty good. Oops. Went too far. Oops, wrong one. This one. So what should we call this thing? Got any ideas? Clarence. Clarence. The beak whale. I like it. You would see that diffuse shadow entirely dependently on how close the floor is to the ceiling of the ocean. Because as I said, when light is going through water, It's being diffused faster than it is through air, but for exactly the same reasons. It's particulates in the water and air that cause the light to break apart and to become diffused. It's basically being blocked by tons of tiny little spheres, microscopic or pre-microscopic, whatever, and that's breaking apart the light and scattering it. So in water, it scatters even more, which means that the floor, in order to get the light, in order to get the shadows that you're talking about, the water has to be very clear, and the floor has to be relatively close to the water. And they need to work directly together. Clarity of water, so no sediment in the water, and how close the floor is. They need to be together. So here's an example. On the west coast of California and Mexico, the water is highly sedimentary. So even like a foot or 2 feet down into the water, you can sometimes not even see the floor of the water there. So the cast shadow of a fish that's between those two surfaces is going to be very, very diffuse and not super visible. Then, if you're, like for example, when I would anchor my boat out up in the islands where it's a protected gulf, sort of like also the Gulf of Mexico or the Caribbean, the water is super clear. So on a clear day where the water's smooth and there's not a bunch of sediment floating around, I can see the shadow of my boat crisp line. I can wave and count all my fingers in the shadow at 60 feet deep. And you can see it from above the surface. You can see that they're the most beautiful days. That was my favorite thing. Like I would love to go swimming in that, like jumping overboard in the morning when it was super clear like that. And you could see like the outline of the anchor, and you could see the pufferfish sitting down there chewing on the anchor. It's awesome, super beautiful. But see what I'm saying? It's the depth and the sediment in the water that are going to affect how the shadow and the light diffuse. Make sense? Anyway, so we finished up Clarence the beak whale here for you. We finished up our last illustration with Bloodflower, so that's exciting. We got 2 things done in one day. Boom! After all of this nonsense, struggle. Sometimes it just goes like that. So if you want to see this guy and maybe capture a shot of him, I'll be posting him on ArtStation and Instagram. ArtStation, I think, is artstation.com/Izzy Medrano, and Instagram is @the_Izzy_Medrano. So give me a follow and all that stuff there. So funny how we got here from a political cartoon of Donald Trump's hair. Precisely. That was precisely what I wanted you to see, was how that sort of creative process can just take you anywhere. And anything can trip it. You just need to follow it and trust that you can get there. And anybody can do this. Fug? Really? That's absurd. Cool. Yeah. Hey, thanks for hanging out, MMA fighter grandmaster. Are you really a grandmaster and MMA fighter? That's kind of badass. I've never been able to take a martial art. I always wanted to learn jiu-jitsu, but also there's lots of eye gouging and like finger holds and thumb holds, and these are my money makers, baby. And this, of course, this beauteousness. So, of course you are. Everything is true on the internet. My grandma told me that. Well, it was awesome hanging out with y'all. Take care, gang. Hopefully you enjoyed yourselves. I should be back to normal streaming schedule starting Sunday, unless I feel like doing another rando sketch. We'll see. All right, gang. Take it easy. As always, paint smart, paint sexy. I'm Izzy, a professional writer, concept artist, and illustrator. I've taught painting for a dozen years or so, on and offline. Many of your favorite illustrators and designers have studied with me or under me and have gone on to teach in their own right. You're here because, like they did, you want to learn to paint realistically for illustration or concept art. Well, worry not. You're in the right place. Grab a seat. I want you to join me as I explain all the aspects of image making in extremely digestible and clear monthly lessons. Not through the lens of silly how to paint hair or eye demos. That shit is carnival tricks. And you're not really learning anything except an exact way to render one thing in one manner. This is painting mysticism at its worst. Watching these kinds of exploitative lessons won't help you level up with your understanding. Sure, now you can paint sparkly hair, but what if you want to paint a dragon, or figure out how to render a sea of fire, or depict a one-eyed transgender space marine dying in the vacuum of space? Painting and image making are tools of communication and can be learned by anyone willing to put in some time. Like grammar is for language, light, color, and form literally follow a formula. Painting well is not a matter of chicken bones, zombie crackers, and the ever-dismissive concept of talent. Learning with my series, Izzy's Logic of Light and Color, will give you the tools and understanding so you can analyze light and form in reality and bring it to life in your work. Using this simple system I have distilled will help you harness your art to share your ideas as you've always intended. When we are children, we all draw in symbols. Symbols for our house, our hands, the sun, the grass, our pet lobster. As we grow into artists, we must learn to throw away symbols and begin to draw and paint what it is we actually see. And as we grow further, we learn to paint beyond what we see and what is actually there. Until finally we move beyond this and learn to trim away what is actually there so we voice only what we want. With me, you're going to have to buckle in and maybe take some pain meds, because I'm going to rip out your normal person's eyes and replace them with a painter's eyes. I'm going to restructure how you see and how you understand what you're seeing. I'm going to turn you into a painting machine. Truly, anyone can learn to paint realistically if they can both determine what they're seeing or imagining with basic and straightforward rules. Once you understand the mechanics of light, color, and form in reality, you will have the capacity to paint anything you can see or imagine realistically. After that, the real fun begins. Here are some of the ways you can join me and master the logic of light and color. The very first lesson of my series is totally free on my YouTube channel. In that lesson, I give you the 3 primary rules of light that are the very foundation of painting and understanding light itself. If you do nothing else to make your painting mastery easier, at least watch this amazing little lesson. It will do more for your basic understanding of light than just about any tutorial you can find. When you're ready to get deeper and you feel like you have those first rules figured out, allow me to utterly blow your mind with the next episodes available on Gumroad and ArtStation. As we go deeper into the rules underlying the logic of light and color, I carefully and simply explain important and interesting elements. From beginner to pro, there is an amazing amount of information available. Each concept has been distilled into the clearest explanation you're likely to find anywhere. Like episode 2, where we cover the atmospheric effect and how that relates to light, scale, and distance of objects in reality, and how to render it. Or episode 3, where I hand over the ultimate key to controlling value in your paintings. Episodes 5 through 8 are all about rendering materials. Want to understand the logic behind rendering metal, leather, hair, transparency, damn near anything. I even cover the logic behind painting special effects like fire, neon, or lightsabers in later episodes. The lessons just get deeper and more detailed as I build on the foundations covered in preceding episodes. The 10th gives you the most important rule of composition you'll ever learn to keep your images interesting. The next few episodes cover important painting techniques like my edge control ninjutsu or simplification with the large to small system. We dip a toe in color theory, devote a few episodes to finishing full-blown illustrations utilizing the techniques we've learned so far. Some episodes, like the lighting game or Advanced Exercises 1, the shirt, present cheap, valuable, and practical exercises to give you explosive growth in your development. Episodes 22 through 25 cover painting and illustration, just like I do for Magic the Gathering, from assignment and inception to signing the painting at the end. Each one is full of tips, knowledge, everything to make working as an illustrator easier. Did you enjoy learning how to paint basic materials? Metal, wood, and such? I got 3 whole episodes devoted to the intricate logic behind painting different kinds of skin. After that, more lessons devoted to pumping life into your portraits and original methods for accurately drawing faces out of your head. From fundamentals to photo bashing, Gumroad and ArtStation have every lesson I create available for purchase a la carte. But here's an even better way to learn with me. Stay current with my latest lessons on Patreon for the lowest price available. Monthly support gets my student that month's lesson,
a critique or paint over of their finished work, a discount code for 25% off the entire Gumroad archive, and access to the Logic of Light and Color Discord community, where we plan future lessons, share knowledge, and learn together as a team. The absolute best method is to join my Patreon classroom at the Student Plus tier, where you'll get everything I just mentioned and a free episode from the archive every month to accelerate your mastery at your own pace. You've decided to take control of your painting and master Izzy's Logic of Light and Color. Now it's up to you to choose the path that's best for you. I'll see you on the flip side. Paint smart, paint sexy.